Hi all, welcome back to C++ session 46. In previous session we have discussed about constant member functions, constant data members, and also we have discussed about mutable data members. Okay, now today let's focus on something like constant objects. Okay, so just like normal objects, we can have constant objects also. So just like how you will write class name, object name, in the same way we can create constant objects also. And the syntax is very simple. Just assume you have a class name, and when you are creating an object, what we'll do is we'll write a class name, object name. If you want to make a constant object, just prefix this class name with constant, then it will become a constant object. Okay, so before going to further discuss about this constant object, what we'll do is we'll just discuss one one of the program. So here observe here we have something like function 1. I have one from function 1 which is taking integer pointer, okay, and another function 2 which is taking constant pointer, okay. And here in main I have two data members. One is a constant data member and another one is a non-constant data member. Okay, now what I am doing is in fun1 I am passing fun1, fun2. In both the places I am passing constant data member. At the same time for fun1, fun2 I am trying to pass the non-constant data member also. Let's see what will happen here. Just compile this and observe whether it will compile or not. So the first one, line number 17, is error here. Okay, so it is saying invalid conversion from const int star to int star. So why it is saying like that? Because your function is expecting, so this is a constant data member. So if it is a constant data member, then you can pass it to a function who is taking the argument as a constant only. But when you talk about fun1, it is a non-constant pointer. If it is a non-constant pointer, by using this pointer, you can update the constant data member value. That is against the rule of constant property, right? So what do you mean by constant data member? Once the value is assigned here, you are not supposed to change it. It is read only. But if you are passing to a function which is taking non-constant pointer, and if you are trying to pass it as a normal variable, even though it is a constant, you are trying to pass it here. But inside this function, by using this pointer, I can modify it because it is not a constant pointer, right? So that is the reason that conversion is not happening and it will throw error. So you cannot pass a constant member to a function which is taking non-constant pointer. Okay, if a function is taking a constant pointer as an argument, then only you can pass. That is fun2 only you can pass. But what about this one function for b? It is a non-constant, right? So for non-constant, either you can pass it to a function which is taking non-constant pointer, or you can pass to a function which is taking a constant pointer. So both is allowed. Okay, so same thing will be applicable for objects also. Okay, now let's see now whether it will compile or not. Just observe. Yes, it is compiling. So for object 1 only constant argument function is called. For object 2 you can means for a only constant argument function you can invoke. For b you can invoke both constant argument function, non-constant argument function also. Okay, so now let's focus on the constant object, the information. So constant object members are read-only objects and cannot be modifiable once the object is created. So just like a normal data members, however, once the the normal data member is created, you cannot modify its value. In the same manner, once the constant object is getting created, you cannot modify it. And constant objects can invoke only constant member functions, because only in constant member functions invoking objects members cannot be modifiable. What is the property of constant object? Once it is declared, you are not supposed to modify it. You can, it is read only. Read only property will be there for this. You are not supposed to modify it. So in which member functions we are not able to modify invoking object functions, invoking object data members? Only in the constant member function. So why we cannot modify constant invoking objects data members inside a constant member function? Because this pointer will be treated as a constant pointer inside the constant member function. That is the reason it won't be modifiable. So your constant object can easily invoke this constant member function. But what about normal member functions, non-constant member functions? Non-constant member function, you can easily modify the invoking objects data members, because there this pointer is a not constant pointer. So this pointer is not pointing to a constant object. So that is the reason you can modify it. Okay. So whereas constant member function, this pointer is pointing to a constant object. Non-constant member functions, this pointer is not pointing to a constant object. Means invoking object will be treated as constant in constant member functions, and invoking object won't be treated as a constant object inside a non-constant member functions. But that is the reason constant object can invoke only constant member functions. Now, what about the constructors and destructors? Can we make constructor and destructor as constant? No, you cannot make constructor and destructor as constant. Why? Because constructors and destructors are designed to modify invoking objects members. So constructor is used to initialize the invoking objects memory, whereas destructor is used to initialize the objects invoking objects data members. That is, means you are trying to modify the invoking objects data members. So this rule is excluded for constructor and destructors. Constant objects can invoke static member functions, because there won't be any this pointer associated with static member functions. Apart from constructor and destructor, your constant objects can invoke static member functions also. There won't be any problem with that, because there won't be any this pointer associated with the static member. Only because in static member functions you can access only static data member. You cannot access invoking objects data members, right? So if you are able to access invoking objects data member, then only you will be able to modify it. If you are not able to access invoking objects data members, then no point of then no problem with the invoking object. Then no problem with the object invoking this static member function. So constant objects can invoke only constant member function, and this rule is excluded for constructor, destructor and static member functions. Okay. Now come back to the program. Open this constant object. So here I have created one class which is having two data members here. One is a data and another one is mutable variable. It is a normal data, and another one is mutable variable. Here I have constructor where I am assigning the value for data and value, and here is a destructor, just simply displaying the destructor. And I have one constant member function. In this pointer will be treated as a constant pointer to a constant object, means invoking object will be treated as constant. You can only access it and you cannot modify it. And I have one display function which is a normal function, and I have a static member function. Okay. Now here I am giving the value here. Value equals to value into value. It is possible only because it is mutable. Okay. So if you have any confusions on mutable, just go back to watch previous video for better understanding of mutable keyword. Okay, so here you can modify the mutable value, and I'm just returning the data. And this is a non-constant member function, and here I am displaying this. Okay, and this is a static member function, just printing the static function. And here I have created the object constant my class obj1. So next here I am invoking the constant function, that is get data is a constant function, right? So now I'm invoking get data function. So let's invoke this one also. All the three functions I'm invoking. So one is get data, non-constant data member function, constant data member function, and I am also invoking the static member function. Just observe this, compile it. See, error. You cannot constant object passing const my class as this argument is called qualifiers. Okay, so because the primitive here it is not allowed, because this pointer is a constant pointer. I cannot convert this one normal to const. Okay, no, sorry, const to normal this pointer. So display you cannot ignore, because display is not a constant member function. Display is a normal member function. I cannot ignore it. So just comment this one and compile it once again. See, it's working. It's able to initialize the value. Constructor is called, static function also called, destructor also called. Okay. So if you want, you can print one cout statement. You can have one cout statement here inside the constructor. Okay, class verify whether it is calling constructor or not. Okay, so it's constructor telling it the constructor 100 static function destructor. So constant objects can invoke constant member functions. Okay, and it can invoke static member functions. It can invoke constructors and destructors. But non-constant member functions it won't be invoking. Okay, this is about rules and regulations for your constant object. Okay, now. So what are the points we have to remember with respect to constant object? That is, constructors and destructors cannot be constant because they are designed to modify the invoking objects as data members. So because of this reason, constant objects can invoke can invoke only constant functions, excluding constructors, destructors, and static member functions. Okay, a non-constant object can invoke constant as well as non-constant member function also. See, this rule is only for constants. Okay, but non-constant object it will invoke constant member function, it will invoke destructor, constructor, constant member function, static member functions, all it can invoke. Okay, but all the data members of constant objects are constant except mutable data member. If you observe our program, what we did is here we have taken the one mutable variable also. This mutable variable value will be changed. Okay, so here what you can do is after changing, what you can do is you can print this value. See, value is coming 100 into 100, 10,000. So all the data members, whatever is you have declared here, all the data members will become constant, but this one cannot be constant because it is a mutable. If you want, you can modify. If you try to modify data also, data is a normal data member. It is not a mutable, right? So you just do something like this: data equals to data plus 100. See, this is not allowed. Okay, this is the meaning. So what is the last point saying? All the data members of constant objects are constant, means read only. You cannot modify it, except the data member which is prefixed with mutable keyword. Okay, so that is for today. Hope you have understood. Thanks for watching.